Hey, welcome. So today, we're going to explore two foundational ideas from Qigong and meditation that might seem, well, a little paradoxical at first. We're going to totally flip the script on what it means to sit still. It turns out, true stillness isn't empty at all. It's actually incredibly alive. So let's just dive right in.
So let's just start with this big question right here. What if true stillness isn't about being empty, but is actually brimming with potential? I mean, really think about that. This is the core idea we're going to unpack, and trust me, it leads to some pretty fascinating, maybe even surprising places when it comes to our mind and body.
All right, so first up, we're tackling this incredible paradox. It's all about the relationship between being profoundly still and then this spontaneous, powerful movement. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? How can stillness lead to movement? But you'll see, it's actually a central pillar of these ancient practices.
And this brings us to this really key concept from Chinese philosophy. It's called Jing, Ji, Sheng, Dong. And what that means, essentially, is that stillness at its most extreme gives rise to movement. It's this beautiful idea that once you reach a state of absolute, total quiet, that's when something new and dynamic can actually begin.
And, this is not a new idea by any stretch. This wisdom goes way back to the ancient text, the I Ching. You might know it as the Book of Changes. It's really just observing a fundamental law of nature. Think about it. Extreme movement eventually leads back to quiet. And in the same way, extreme quiet is like the seed for new action.
Okay, but this isn't just some philosophical metaphor we're talking about. This is real. In a state of truly deep stillness, your body can have these tangible, sometimes really powerful reactions. We're talking about an actual physical experience here, not just something happening in your head.
So what does that actually feel like? Well, Zen practice talks about something called the 8 touches. These are specific sensations that can just pop up out of this deep quiet. We're talking about things like sudden feelings of cold or heat, or this sense of fullness moving through your body, maybe even some involuntary trembling. This is literally Jingji Shengenang happening in your body.
And get this, it can get even more dramatic. Some people have reported that their bodies will just spontaneously start performing these complex movements, like stretches or postures that are actually good for them, without ever having learned them. It's wild. It's almost like the body's own innate wisdom just takes the wheel once the conscious mind finally gets quiet enough.
Okay, so all these physical experiences sound pretty incredible, right? But it begs the question, how on earth do we get to that state of deep stillness in the first place? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, isn't really about the body at all. It's all in the mind.
Yeah, the secret isn't about forcing your body into a pretzel and holding it there. It's about paying attention to what's called nyanto, which basically means your thoughts, all that mental chatter. The real work, the heavy lifting, is all internal. It's about focusing on your own spiritual state first and foremost.
This comparison just hits the nail on the head. So picture this. You've got two people meditating. Person A has perfect posture, looks like a Zen master, but their mind is just a whirlwind of worries. They're not going to find any stillness. Then you have person B, who might be kind of slouched over, but their mind is calm and clear. That person, they have a real shot at experiencing that deep quiet. It just goes to show you, your mental state is way more important than your physical form.
So really, what this all boils down to is that our potential for stillness is directly tied to what we're holding on to in our minds. Every little worry, every attachment we carry around, it's like a barrier, preventing us from really settling down. The real practice is about letting go, because that's what creates the space for stillness to even show up.
Okay, so if letting go is the key, how do we actually do that? I mean, it's not like there's a switch you can just flip, right? It takes work. It requires building a really solid foundation in your own mind, and that's exactly what we're going to get into next.
So the very first step is to get real with yourself. You have to ask this fundamental question. Why am I even doing this? What makes this practice, sitting here doing this work, more valuable to me than the million other things I could be doing with my time?
And this is how you build that foundation. It's a process. First, you question your purpose, like we just talked about. Then, you really affirm the value. What benefits are you looking for here? Is it peace, better health, mental clarity? Once you have that solid conviction, once you really believe in the why, it becomes so much easier to let go of all the distractions, because you've already decided that this is worth it.
Which really brings us to the big takeaway here. True practice doesn't just start when you sit on the cushion. It's a mental thing that begins way before that. It's all about cultivating a mindset that values stillness enough to actually make room for it in your life. Now, these profound insights we've been walking through, they come from a really deep well of knowledge. So I think it's important we take a moment to talk about the expert whose work this is all based on.
All of these concepts come from the work of Dr. Aiheng Chen. Now, he has a PhD in Chinese literature from National Chengchi University, and he's a specialist in Chinese philosophy, Buddhism, and Taoism. So you can see his background just gives this incredible depth and authority to these ideas. They're not just pulled out of thin air, they're rooted in centuries of wisdom.
So let's end with this final thought. We've seen that the path to real stillness starts with a calm mind. And a calm mind is built on a solid foundation of knowing why you're even practicing in the first place. So the real question, the one to take with you, is this. Now that you know this, what attachments, what bits of mental chatter might you be ready to finally let go of to find your own stillness?